The actual news you guys were all waiting for, Kevin Patullo out as Eagles offensive coordinator.
Yeah, we knew it was coming. We just didn't know when. It was inevitable. It had to happen. Usually there's some drama with these things. There's some question. Is he going to go? Is he not going to go? In this case, it was a slam dunk.
You say we didn't know when it was going to happen. I had a pretty good guess. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast brought to you by Nissan. A little backstory here. If people listen to the Eagle Eye Podcast, you know our history with this. It's not great. And as you might have guessed, we recorded the podcast, finished it, we're about to post it, and then the news came out that the Eagles removed Kevin Patullo from his post as offensive coordinator. So you're going to hear that full podcast. It's coming up after this, but we couldn't, in good faith, put that out with knowing the news. So we wanted to come on again. We'll break down the move to remove Patullo. We'll talk about some candidates to replace him, and then you'll hear the regularly scheduled pod.
Yeah, and if you're new around here, this is a time-worn tradition that there's big news as soon as we finish a podcast. We believe Howie has this room bugged, and that as soon as we finish recording or we get a podcast posted, the news breaks. And it's happened so many times. It happened again.
Yeah, so if you were at home and you were refreshing your Twitter feed or you're refreshing wherever you get your news and you're like, man, I can't believe it hasn't happened yet, you're welcome. We did this for you.
Yeah, and it's a good thing we didn't plan on recording the podcast like tonight at 8, because then the Patullo news wouldn't come out till late tonight.
Exactly. Yeah.
So here we are.
All right. So you mentioned it. This was inevitable. We all saw what the offense looked like this entire season and in the playoff game. It just wasn't good enough. This was an offense that brought back 10 of 11 starters. And even if you allow that there were some injuries on the offensive line and that players messed up some execution things, like all that is true, the play caller was not good enough. He did not overcome any of those deficiencies all season.
Yeah, and the offense actually got worse as the year went on. That was the most alarming thing. First month of the season, they were averaging 25 points a game. They were 4-0. They were moving the ball. They looked like a real offense, and it just went downhill from there. They became predictable. They became stale, to use Nick's word, when he fired one of the previous OCs. I don't even remember which one it was.
Brian Johnson, the other guy that he promoted from inside.
Yeah. It was a terrible offense that didn't make use of the talent that he had. It was predictable. They had no way to keep defenses off balance. We just saw the same stuff over and over, and it just kept repeating. And obviously Sunday was the final. I really think that with a good postseason, Kevin had a chance to save his job.
Yeah, you wrote that. He had a chance he was coaching for his job, and what an abject failure.
Yeah, completely. And it's a terrible reflection on Nick, because this is his handpicked candidate. It's a guy he's been with since they were in Indianapolis together under Frank Reich. And I don't know how you can be so wrong about a guy that you've spent so much time with, but he was. And Kevin's inability to change things on the fly and kind of address the deficiencies that we saw throughout the year, it was damning. And then you see the same old stuff on Sunday in the Niners game. They scored 13 points in the first half, looked decent, and then just nothing in the second half. Couple field goals, punt, 3 and out. And they just never had an answer when things started going bad.
Yeah, and you're right. We can't let Nick Sirianni off the hook. First for promoting Kevin Patullo, but also it was his offense. And I think a better play caller can get more out of that offense, but it was just a combination of these two things, an offense that lacks creativity, and then a play caller on top of that who lacks creativity sequencing those plays. It was doomed from the jump.
It was doomed from the jump. And I think, we heard like little bits and pieces from Jalen, mainly Jalen, occasionally from other players. He would use that word sequencing about, we've got to do a better job sequencing plays. What is sequencing plays? It's calling plays. So when your quarterback, your Super Bowl MVP quarterback, is unhappy in the offense, and I don't think Kevin ever really had a sense of how to get the most out of Jalen Hurts, which is probably priority number one if you're a play caller for this team. It was slow going with Saquon for half the season. Couldn't get AJ the ball for half the season. So, you ask, like, what was this offense good at? They were good in the red zone, but that was about it, and that's not enough.
Our buddy Mike Garafolo from NFL Network says that, and the phrasing here, it was not that the Eagles fired Kevin Patullo, that there is a chance he could end up back on the staff in some capacity, but we'll see what that is. I think that will be a tough thing for both sides, honestly, to bring him back. Like demoting a guy and keeping him on staff you almost never see that.
I was trying to think of a situation where that happened, and I couldn't think of one. And, I've been doing this probably since coordinators were invented or soon after. So I can't think of an instance where a coordinator was let go or stripped of his coordinating responsibilities and kept on the staff. So that would be a difficult thing for him, and I think a difficult thing for the team. They got to cut ties and just start over.
Yeah, and look, he's a nice guy.
Good guy.
Everyone likes him, and I think that's why there were so many people who were hesitant in that building to really criticize him this year, but it was on the field. Like we saw what the issues were. Let me read the statement this is from Nick Sirianni, who made the decision to promote Patullo, the guy who came with him on the jet from Indianapolis back in 2021. I've decided to make a change at offensive coordinator. I met with Kevin today to discuss the difficult decision, as he is a great coach who has my utmost respect. He has been integral to the team's success over the last 5 years, not only to the on-field product, but behind the scenes as a valued leader for our players and organization. I have no doubt he will continue to have a successful coaching career. Ultimately, when we fall short of our goals, that responsibility lies on my shoulders.
Yeah, well, that last part's certainly accurate. You just wonder what he saw. And I think it's a tough thing kind of projecting someone who's never called plays. How are they going to do at it? It's not an easy thing to do. But I feel like all the time they spent together, going back to, I think 2018 was their first year together. Like, how do you not know that he's the wrong guy for this job?
Yeah, although I'll give him the benefit of the doubt here, there were other people who thought Patullo was going to be good as a play caller. Shane Steichen was one of them, who's one of the guys who, in that position, one of the best we've ever seen in this city. I talked to Shane Steichen at the Combine last year about Patullo, and he was really convinced that he'd do a good job. And I guess it's one of those things where you just never really know until the guy's in that position. On the flip side of that, this is a team that had a legitimate chance to repeat as Super Bowl champions. In hindsight, maybe it wasn't a great idea to have a first-year offensive coordinator, play caller in such an important role, and then no option if things went sideways.
Yeah, well, that's for sure. And I think the fact that Nick did not make a change during the season tells you that there was nobody on the staff that he had any confidence in, because the product on the field was bad enough that everyone would have understood if he did make a change. I think the one guy, and Nick Sirianni himself, he's not a great play caller. We saw that in 21, but I would have been okay if he took play calling duties back at some point when things were going really bad, because I just can't imagine he'd be worse than Kevin Patullo. I think he'd be an upgrade. Maybe he's gotten better at it since 21 when he turned things over halfway through the season to Shane. But I feel like there were opportunities to do something, and he didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't think,
because it wasn't going to get better. We knew that.
Yeah, there was enough evidence that it wasn't.
Yeah,
and I think the players were holding out hope. They were just hoping that they were able to figure it out in the playoffs, kind of like they did last year. But the body of work was better last year too. Heck, the body of work was better in 2023 when Brian Johnson was in that role.
Yeah, you're right.
Significantly better.
And I mean, it's easy to look back at last year and think it was all, it was all 100% all year. But Kellen Moore struggled in that role the first chunk of the season. He got better. I mean, he really got better. And by the playoffs, they were unstoppable. They scored an NFL record points, 145 points in the postseason, NFL record. Obviously helps to have 4 games to do it, but they got better. They improved. He got better at the job. I think
he got a better sense for his players.
Yeah.
They were able to stack things from game to game, from series to series. This was just disjointed all year.
Yeah, I think the best thing a play caller can do is use plays to set up other plays. Use something in the first half to kind of set up something in the second half, or set up the next play. And it didn't seem like Kevin had any idea how to do that. And if you don't do that, then you're predictable, and then defenses know what's coming. I mean, I think they had 7 scoreless second halves without a touchdown, not scoreless, but without an offensive touchdown. So teams were like, by the second half, they knew it was coming and they knew how to stop it. And if we could see it, defensive coaches could see it.
Yeah. And obviously with the Eagles announcing this decision, with Sirianni giving this statement, he's safe.
Yeah, he was never going to go anywhere.
Fair, but it was a question that we'd gotten a lot, so I want to make that clear. Once they release a statement from the head coach about moving on from a coordinator, there's no longer a question about the head coach.
Right. That's fair.
There's some good candidates out there. We'll have time as the search goes on to figure out who we think makes sense, but I have a list in front of me. I'm going to read you 11 names that I have on my list. And a couple more became available on Tuesday. They're not on the list yet. They maybe could be. I'm going to read you the names, and then you let me know if any of them really pique your interest. Okay. Todd Monken, Mike McDaniel, Kevin Stefanski, Cliff Kingsbury, Brian Daboll, Nate Scheelhaus, Zach Robinson, Mike Kafka, David Shaw, Mike LaFleur, Frank Reich, and then 2 that became available on Tuesday, Arthur Smith, Greg Roman.
And I like Arthur Smith, but I think Stefanski and McDaniel are guys who have pretty good chance to get head coaching jobs.
Yeah, some of these other guys have interviewed for coaching jobs too, but you're right. Those are the 2 that probably have the best chance to get a head coaching gig.
Yeah. Daboll's an interesting name. I mean, it's easy to just kind of think of him, the head coach, who was kind of a buffoon, but you look at what he did in Buffalo. He's a good offensive mind, I think. And
the only thing I'm thinking with him, can you imagine him and Nick Sirianni on the same sideline?
It's crazy.
That's too much, right?
Yeah, I don't think I could handle that.
Jalen would see these 2 guys both throwing headsets.
Yeah, flatline Jalen would not be comfortable in that situation. I've always liked David Shaw. Followed his career since he was here as a quality control guy. He started his career here under Ray Rhodes. Frank Reich's an interesting name to me. How about Phillip Rivers? Do you think they would go totally out of the box?
No.
You can't really do that at this point.
I think it's a tough sell, even if it's someone who you really think, and that's why the only guy on my list who doesn't fit the mold of what the list is Nate Scheelhaus, because he's a younger guy, has not been in that role. But I don't know. He seems like a fast riser, seems like a guy who's going to be on a lot of teams' lists. That's why he's on this one. But no, I think that this is a team that probably needs a guy who can bring in a system, who has experience doing it and calling plays, installing that system. You basically need a head coach for the offense. And that's not a great sign for the actual head coach, that you have to basically have a head coach of offense, a head coach of defense, and then a CEO running it all. But I think that's what they need.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question that it's got to be this guy's got to have autonomy. It's got to be his offense, because we've seen the alternative. And
look, Nick can collaborate a little bit. I don't want to make it seem like he's a complete dunce when it comes to offensive football. This is a guy who has coached for a long time, was an offensive coordinator, but it clearly cannot be whatever the heck it was last year.
What about a guy like Josh McCown?
Same thing.
Not experienced enough.
I think you want someone who's called plays.
Yeah, you're probably right. Who would be your number 1 choice out of the available names, the guys on your list?
I think there are some good options there. Monken for me would be the guy, and he's out because Harbaugh's out, and it seems like Harbaugh is out because of Todd Monken.
Yeah.
I don't know the specifics of what happened between Monken and Lamar Jackson. It seems like those guys, it wasn't great at the end, but he got Lamar playing at a really high level, won an MVP, finished second in MVP voting. A lot of success with him there. Someone who I don't think is going to become a head coaching candidate anytime soon. So, I think there's like a Venn diagram here, and I'm interested in that center slice where you can get a guy who brings a creative offense in, but who also offers the possibility of some sort of consistency and stability over more than one season.
Yeah, and that's the issue with some of these hot candidates. If you do get this guy and he does well, he's going to be a head coaching candidate the next year. Jalen's already this will be his 7th play caller as a pro. So now you're talking about, well, this guy, if you hire if you hire a guy, Stefanski, if he's available, which I don't think he will be, but whoever it is, they get a head coaching job. They leave
Mike McDaniel, I think, is in the same vein.
Yeah, and it's like the Shane Steichen, Kellen Moore thing. They have a good year, and they go get a head coaching job, and now you're looking at your 8th coordinator for Jalen.
Which, hey, like it could work. You could win a Super Bowl. So that's I think it's a tricky decision, because if you hire, whether it's McDaniel or Kingsbury or Stefanski, and you win a Super Bowl and they leave, you take that.
Yeah, and that's why I think I would not make that a big consideration, whether you think the guy's got head coaching opportunity down the line, because I think you just need the best guy possible this year, and you can't worry about the future.
I'm fascinated to see how they handle that question.
Yeah.
Because I think it's worth debating internally.
In the context of how much change, how much upheaval there's been.
Sure, for Jalen especially.
Yeah.
Like if you ever want Jalen to reach his potential, I don't think this is helping.
Yeah. No question. I mean, Doug Peterson his rookie year, Nick to start his first year as a starter, and then Shane for a year and a half, and then Brian Johnson, and then Kellen Moore, and then Kevin Patullo, and then the next guy. And I think he had a different coordinator every year in college, Alabama and Oklahoma. I think his last –
It's 11 years in a row or something?
Yeah, I mean, Shane was a year and a half and went to a Super Bowl the second half. And he was special. He was just
starting
brilliant
the season.
Yeah. Yeah, starting the season. Yeah. So the last one he's had for more than 1 year was his dad.
It's crazy.
Going back to, where do you go, Longview? What was this, high school?
It wasn't Longview. It was
something like that.
Gosh, why can't
he's going to be mad at
Channelview?
me. Channelview is correct.
Yeah.
Longview, I would have accepted that as a correct answer. Yeah, it's going to be a I can't wait to see some of the names that pop up as candidates or guys they interview. That'll tell us exactly what they're looking for.
So I think you've told me that top of your list would be Stefanski. I told you top of my list will be Monken. If you had to guess who they land on, anyone standing out in that regard?
I wouldn't rule out Frank Reich. I mean, we've seen him do it at a high level here.
If he wants to. I mean, he's one of the older candidates.
Yeah.
Just coached the year at Stanford. I thought he did a nice job there as kind of their stopgap coach.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's something he's still interested in, but he is an older guy. But obviously, relationship.
We'll probably get some questions about Doug Peterson. I don't know if he wants to do that.
Yeah. I think he'd be good at it, but I kind of think he likes just golfing all the time. But yeah, I mean, I really like Stefanski. I think that he's a guy that if he's available might be at the top of their list.
Yeah. And this is why it was important to not waste time.
Yeah.
You have to just, and the process is already, it's not like they fired Kevin Patullo and thought, okay, now we got to figure this out. I mean, they've had a list for a while.
Yeah.
You got to act quickly. You want to make sure you get the right guy.
Yeah, Stefanski is a guy we know has a good relationship with Nick. They always have joint practices together. When he was with the Browns, they always had. Good offensive mind. So, yeah.
All right, that's the news. You're welcome for bringing it to you. Like the actual news, not the pod. You're welcome for bringing the actual news to fruition. Rube, got anything else before we send these people to our regularly scheduled pod?
No, it's going to be interesting next week, though.
It should be. We'll be back later this week and then the weeks that follow until the Eagles figure out who in the heck their next OC is going to be. Here's the rest of our first pod. The news you've all been waiting for: the Eagles on Monday signed 8 players to futures contracts: Chance Campbell, Tariq Castro-Fields, Danny Gray, Gabe Hall, Brandon Johnson, Jake Majors, Holland Pierce, and Quez Watkins.
Yeah, so these are guys who finished the season on either their practice squad or another practice squad. These guys all were on the Eagles practice squad, so they become free agents and sign futures deals. So it's good to have Quez back. I think he was a big part of what they did this year. Yeah. Any of those guys you're excited about?
We don't actually have to.
Jake Majors?
We don't actually have to talk about that. Yeah, no big news from the Eagles just yet. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast brought to you by Nissan, Reuben Frank, and Dave Zangaro. We're recording this on Tuesday afternoon. Things can change, obviously, in the off season. We're still expecting some changes to come to this Eagles team. So keep that all in mind as you listen to this podcast.
Yeah, and those changes could come soon and should come soon, because if you need to replace your offensive coordinator and play caller, you need to do it presently so you can have, because top candidates are going to be signing other places. So you want to be quick with this.
Yeah, you don't want to get behind. I think back to the 2023 season or that 2023 off season where Jonathan Gannon leaves so late in the process. They start to scramble. All the good options are gone. And then they hire Sean Desai, and that was a disaster. They lost Vic Fangio in that process. They weren't able to get him as their DC that year. So, as much as it stinks for fans to know that the Eagles had an early round playoff loss, there is a benefit to it that, if you're quick enough here that you get a head start on potentially replacing a coordinator.
Yeah, and they're going to have to do that, and they got to do it soon.
Yeah. Now, I also don't think it's like they're going to make a change and then all of a sudden go, oh, I guess we should come up with a list. I'm pretty sure that throughout this season, Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie were working on this behind the scenes.
When do you think they started on that list? Like week 5?
I mean, maybe before then. I think good organizations are preparing for bad outcomes. Like I think you have to be prepared for good outcomes and bad outcomes. And there's guys out there that they've talked to before that they have familiarity with. So I think that matters too.
Do you think there's any chance they could replace Patullo internally?
No.
No, right?
If they could do that, they would have done that in week 10.
Yeah.
Who Parks Frazier?
I mean, there's certainly, I think everybody had a hand in what we saw on offense this year, so I wouldn't consider. I'm just.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, there's no.
I wouldn't do it. I'm just wondering if they would do it.
No,
they've made bad decisions in the past.
Yeah, I think the only route here is to find an offensive coordinator who has a proven track record, who has called plays, who can bring in his own system and run that system like that. I think that's the only option here, barring a change up at a higher level, which we can talk about maybe today if you want, but I think that seems unlikely.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think they need to clean house on the offensive staff. I mean, the position coaches I'm good with, Jason Michael and, Aaron Moorhead, Jamal Singleton, Stout. But
well, though, like if you bring in an experienced coordinator, there's a chance he's going to want at least some of his guys. I mean, Kellen Moore brought Doug Nussmeier with him, so
yeah, there's a chance
to get a guy like that. You might have to
yeah.
To get rid of some of these position coaches.
Those non-position offensive, like passing game analyst, passing game coordinator, those kind of things. But yeah, I think if you bring in a guy, he's going to probably want to bring some of his own guys in. I'm just saying I'm okay with those guys if they do stay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I get that. And Stoutland's the interesting one, obviously been here for a long time. Has had a really great run of success. This year did not go well for anyone on that side of the ball, and that includes him. But I wonder what happens there too, because if you're a really veteran offensive coach or you have some sway here, you have other opportunities. I think this is an attractive job because there's talent here. I think you get to come in, you get to call plays, which not every OC has, but you might also want to bring some of your guys with you.
Yeah, I just wonder like how many guys would. I just think Stoutland is so highly regarded around the league. I can't imagine. It's possible. I can't imagine though. There's a lot of OC candidates who would say, "I want to get rid of that guy." I think you'd probably want him on your staff, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, and I wonder if that would be a sticking point for the Eagles. Like, hey, no, this guy has to be the O-line coach.
Could be.
It's funny. I didn't expect us to go there that quickly, but I do want to take a step back. We're a couple of days removed now from the Eagles' loss. We were kind of reacting to it in real time on Sunday after the game. You had a chance now, a couple days removed from it. Any new thoughts on your mind or anything that we missed on the post-game pod that you want to get to today?
I think you brought this up on the post-game pod on Sunday, but just what a missed opportunity it was. I mean, that game was so winnable. That game was so winnable. That team was so beatable. They were so banged up. Then they lose Kittle, and you're up 6 going into the fourth quarter. Even though you haven't played well on offense, you're still in control of the game. And then just the offense just turtling, and the defense not a great final quarter of the season, giving up 2 touchdowns, two long touchdown drives in the fourth quarter, and you just can't make the plays at the end. You get down to the 20-yard line. It was so winnable, and if you win that one, I like your chances this coming weekend against Chicago. That's certainly a team that's beatable. I just think the sticking point, I guess the I don't know, the lingering thought is that this was not a bad team, it was an underachieving team. And I still think they can play with anybody, but they won't have that opportunity.
Yeah, it's funny. That's not where I thought you were going to take the missed opportunity. For me, sure, there were missed opportunities in that game. I just look at the whole season as a missed opportunity. Really,
But they did get there. They got to the 3 seed, and they got to the playoffs, and had a home game.
Yeah.
Despite all the issues during the season. So to me, the missed opportunity was Sunday.
In a way, I understand that point. I disagree with it a little bit because there were so many of the issues that we saw all year. Yes, they overcame them in terms of the record and seeding, and they got to that point. You're right. But the same issues that plagued them all year plagued them in the playoffs. And it they were not good enough this year. They just weren't.
Yeah.
And it's funny, they're going to have to, not funny, they're going to raise a banner at some point because they won the NFC East. And I'm writing a column about this. That banner, every time you look at that banner, you're going to be like, man, they blew their opportunity to do something that 9 teams in NFL history have done. They came into the season with a legitimate shot, we all thought, to repeat.
Yeah.
And they didn't call it a repeat. They called it sustained success or whatever, but they had a legitimate shot to do that. That's the stuff that goes down in history, right? They had a legitimate chance to do that. And I thought there was a good chance, for reasons, there were reasons to think they bring back so much of the offense. They have Vic Fangio as the defensive coordinator. This did seem like a wide open playoffs, especially in the NFC. So for a lot of reasons, it made sense to think, yeah, it doesn't happen very often, but this team has that capability. And at every turn, they were not good enough.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I'm not sure we're disagreeing here, but yeah, I completely agree. I remember after last year, we sat in this room and talked about how they had a really good chance to get back there and do it again. And I think they did. I like covering Super Bowls. It's crazy that we've done the last 8 years. We've done 3 of them, and it's a unique experience being part of that whole circus act, and just the time we get to spend with the players and the assistant coaches down there, and it's down there or up there or out there.
I think that's a good rule. It should never be up there.
Yeah, it should never be in Minneapolis again. Yeah. That was not a pleasant weather week, but yeah, I mean, it's, you just think how rare it is to get to 3 in 8 years and win 2 of them, and they could have added to that legacy and just kind of etched their name as an all-time team.
Yeah, I think that legacy, 3 in 8 years, is that's the Howie Roseman legacy. That's the Jeffrey Lurie legacy. This could have been a player legacy.
A Jalen Hurts and a Nick Sirianni legacy. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, you can put it to coaching too.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was right there for him. I mean, it really was. It was right there for him. That game was so winnable. They just came up so small. All of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to keep doing this, but again, they came up small in that game, but all season they weren't good enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just semantics. I mean, I don't disagree. I just think once you give yourself that chance,
sure,
you have that second chance.
It's like the flip the switch thing, right? Yeah. Can they flip a switch? I had an
They
interesting,
couldn't even find the switch.
interesting question and answer with Saquon Barkley in the locker room. They had cleanout day on Monday. And at one point in one of his answers, he talked about, we're hoping we could flip a switch in the playoffs. And I asked him, like, did you actually think you could do that? Or is that something you were just telling yourself and other players were telling themselves just to hold out hope and get to the playoffs? And he didn't really have an answer. He said, I don't know. It's a good question, but he's like, we're competitors and you want to believe that you put in all the work, you have the capability to do it. I think there's a good chance they were lying to themselves the same way some fans were lying to themselves, the way some of us were talking about them and kind of lying to ourselves that this team had a real chance, given what we had seen all year.
Yeah. But despite that, they still got to the 20-yard line with a chance to win that game and advance. And that last sequence kind of encapsulated the whole season.
Yeah, I finally got a chance to rewatch that final drive because it little inside our jobs here. Sometimes it's tough for me to watch that final series because I have to run down from the press box and get ready for the TV hit right after the game ends. So I'm normally watching that on TV with the delay in the stadium where the actual action is happening. So I actually had a chance to rewatch, and you're right. I mean, that final play was just, what a disaster.
Hopeless.
Yeah, and you got into it. I thought you did a good job on Sunday. I probably didn't just because I was rushing around and I knew that, like, I saw it, but yeah, rewatching it, it's like they had no chance. And that is, if that doesn't explain what happened with this offense all year, I don't think anything does, right? Like, you have one play,
Yeah.
your season's on the line, you go 4 verts, it's like no chance.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know there's a video going around that people are saying shows Jalen shocked at the play call. I don't see that. I watched it a bunch of times. Just see a conversation between 3 guys, and he's not going to celebrate the play call. He's not going to jump up and down, and I'm not sure what anyone was looking for in that sequence. But
Yeah, I think we paint it with knowing the result.
yeah, I think people are looking for something that's not there.
Yeah, look, if that's what he was thinking, I understand it.
Sure.
And he gives like a look to Sirianni for like confirmation, I think. But yeah, given what we know about what the play was, the result of the play, I think it's easy to wonder if he was a little confused about the play call. I certainly would have been.
I called a drop on Goddard's part. I'm kidding.
Oh.
It was a play that had no chance. And yeah, you have all year to draw up a play that you can dial up in the biggest moment of the season, and that's what you come up with. It just blows my mind.
Yeah.
A play with no chance to work.
Yeah, and it's like a few things happened, right? Like, interesting. This is happening as we're speaking here. Mike Tomlin stepping down.
Really?
As Steelers head
Stepping
coach.
down. Interesting.
Yeah. Interesting phrasing there.
7 straight playoff losses.
Yeah. Very interesting. 19 seasons. So, big news there.
So Harbaugh and Tomlin both out. 2 guys who'd coached 2 decades each.
Yeah.
And
Pretty wild.
Rivals, and yeah, that's. I don't know how good a job that is. They don't really have a quarterback. I think they have some talent on that team, but they look lost.
Yeah. So apparently he's voluntarily leaving. He did not get fired, so the Steelers have his rights. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
If, there's a potential trade scenario with
Sure.
Mike Tomlin at some point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna find themselves with Aaron Rodgers last night in his presser called Kenny Gainwell our MVP. He loves some Kenny Gainwell.
They named him their MVP, I think.
Did they actually name him MVP?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I'm a big Kenny Gainwell guy.
I've noticed.
Yeah, I haven't.
You, Nick Sirianni, and Aaron Rodgers are
the 3 of us. We have a little club.
You guys meet on Tuesdays.
Yeah, after the pod. Yeah, that's an interesting job. Imagine Harbs goes to the Steelers.
Tomlin goes to the Ravens. That'd be fun.
They continue their rivalry.
I guess that means Arthur Smith is available, right? Is he there? The OC? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he's a bad OC.
No, there's a lot of good names out there. I don't want to get too deep into the OC conversation today because they haven't even fired their OC from this season, and I think there's going to
Yet.
be some time to talk about it. But is
Yeah.
there like a name or two that, like, I have a list in front of me that I've been working on? Is there a name that kind of stands out to you?
I mean, I'm intrigued by Stefanski. I like what he did in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I think it was an impossible situation with the quarterback they traded for. I think he was really I like the job he did this year with Shador. And I think he's a good coach. He's a Philly guy. Not that that's a big part of the decision, but you know that he and Nick have a good relationship. They've done joint practices, twice, 3 times?
Yeah, a few times.
And I think he's a good name. I think he's a good offensive
He
coach.
is. Now, the downside with a guy like that is, he's
going to be a head
if
coach.
he doesn't get a head coaching job this year,
Yeah.
and you hire him as your OC, he has one good year and he's gone.
That's true with anybody you bring in, though.
Not necessarily. So, like, what about a guy like Todd Monken? I don't think he's going to get head coaching offers. He's a name to me that I think I might be most intrigued by because he might be the right balance of getting a good offensive mind, but also maybe not super fearful that he'll leave after 1 year. So I think it might give you the best of both worlds.
Yeah, it's a good name. I think McDonald's a good name. There's some good candidates.
You mean McDaniel?
McDaniel.
Okay.
Yeah.
If Mike McDaniel comes here, he's going to be known as Mike McDaniels.
Yeah.
There's no chance he doesn't get an S put on his name.
Yeah, you're right.
But another guy who, if he doesn't get a head coaching job this year,
good
year and he's gone.
We saw Greg Roman got fired.
Yeah, Greg Roman available, a guy who, like, a few years ago, everyone's like, man, you got to get Greg Roman. His star has faded. Cliff Kingsbury.
It's a good name.
Available. He's someone the Eagles have interviewed before. They seem to like.
I feel like they've interviewed Roman at some point.
Okay.
Like for a head coaching job at one point.
Like there are names out there. And I think
and then there's like the old, like Frank Reich. We'll hear that name, which it's an interesting name.
Sure.
I wouldn't be against that.
You could go like David Shaw, who was with the Lions this year, Eric Bieniemy, who
David Shaw started his career here as a quality control assistant under Ray Rhodes.
Yeah, my point is, like, there are a lot of guys out there right now, and I think it's different than like 2023 looking for a defensive coordinator. Like, you have an opportunity to improve.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be a super easy fix. I don't think it's like this is going to solve all their problems, but I think it would solve a lot of their problems, especially if they bring in a guy who has, the authority to really make changes.
And that's going to be crucial. Like, you can't just bring somebody in to run Nick's offense. You got to bring in somebody to bring in his offense. And Nick's got to be good with that. I was thinking about that driving down here today. Would changing OCs and play callers, would that fix everything? And I don't think there's any one thing that would fix everything, but man, it would go a long way.
It
would fix enough.
Yeah, it's the biggest increase they can get from one move.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Aside from changing the head coach, which we can talk about it if you want. I know that's been suggested a lot. And I think, look, it's fair to ask the question. I think that I think they want to be a more stable organization than a team that fires their head coach a year after winning a Super Bowl. Not to say that it wouldn't be warranted. Like, I think it's fair to look at Nick's job. Like, Nick didn't do a good enough job this year.
No.
Anyone who tells you that, it wasn't paying attention because, the offense wasn't good enough. Well, it was his offense that a different guy was running. He got more involved in the offense. Didn't help that much.
Yeah.
I don't think he was great in terms of, decision-making in game. The culture, I don't know, he was just in a shouting match with one of his team captains in the playoff game, which isn't like the worst thing in the world, but it's not good either.
Not a good look.
So, yeah, I mean, like, start to ask, like, okay, well, what is the value add from Nick Sirianni? I think that's a fair question, too.
For me, Nick's biggest, I guess, deficiency this year was his inability to fix things along the way that clearly needed fixing. And there were a lot of them. It wasn't just, the offense. I mean, there were a lot of them. And
if you look at it this way, you could say it's the second time in 3 years that he wasn't able to pull a team out of some trouble.
Yeah, that's fair. But he's not going anywhere. Jeff Lurie doesn't do that.
I'd be surprised. Very surprised.
Yeah. Now, I do think next year they've got to do more.
Mhm.
They've got to finish better.
Yeah.
Or it could be time.
Yeah, which is why we're kind of focusing on the OC, because do you agree with that statement that, like, if there's one move they can make
Absolutely.
to yield the biggest results, it's finding the right OC.
Yeah, and they got to nail this move.
Mhm.
And man, I mean, it's been.
How about you? Would you just try to hire the best candidate available and not worry about long term?
Yeah.
Just for like next year, hey, we hire candidate X. I don't care that he might leave in 2027. I'm worried about 2026. Bring the best offense we can.
No question about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't worry about if a guy's going to leave if he has a good year, because if he has a good year, then you feel good about the hire. But it would be 7 offensive coordinators in 7 years,
which is a flaw of the way this is all set up.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if it was Nick's offense and he was the play caller, you wouldn't have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's an unusual setup. But I think it can work, and we've seen it work. So, but gosh, it's got to be tough for Jalen to get a new play caller year after year after year.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Jalen, because we did talk to him in the locker room on Monday, and it stood out to me that this guy who, in this same setting last year, was really talking about continuity and how much he yearned for that continuity, because I think he was going to miss Kellen Moore.
Yeah.
He didn't say that this time. He was asked directly about Kevin Patullo, and he said, it's too soon for that. I'm going to let the guys in charge deal with that. I think it's pretty telling that he wasn't all in on Patullo this year. And I think there were hints along the way, and probably unfair to read too much into what Jalen Hurts says publicly, but if you're reading the tea leaves all year, I think there were definitely some side eyes coming from Jalen all season.
No question. I mean, I don't know how many times he talked about play sequencing. That's play calling. I mean, what's play sequencing if it's not play calling? So it was just another way of him saying play calling hasn't been good enough. He just called it play sequencing, but it's the same thing. Yeah, you're right. And when he did praise him, it was kind of, I don't know, muted, and just.
To be fair, he was muted in his excitement in that cleanout day press conference last year. He was asked, because at that point, we kind of sensed that Patullo was the front runner to be promoted for that job. And he was like, he hasn't done this before. I don't know how it's going to go. I'm paraphrasing, but that was basically his sentiment. And he wasn't wrong.
Yeah, it was awful. Knowing what we know now, are you surprised Nick didn't make a change during the season? I guess he didn't feel like he had a.
No, I'm not surprised, because I don't think he had the candidate in-house. And I mean, that could be a failure too. If you're going to go with a first-year offensive coordinator,
have somebody in the.
Maybe go find a Marty Morningweg type to be in the building in case things go sideways, or maybe the experience with Matt Patricia. I don't actually want to joke about Matt Patricia right now. The experience with Matt Patricia, maybe that painted that model in a bad light for him, because they tried. I mean, I'm saying they should have maybe done that, but they did that in 2023.
Yeah.
And it made things worse.
Made it a lot worse. Was he really that bad a play caller that he wouldn't have been an improvement if he took it over himself?
It's so tough to know, because when he called, it was a different offense.
It's a different offense.
Personnel wise.
Yeah. But he wasn't good at it, but it wasn't a disaster like Patullo either.
Yeah.
So
it wasn't good.
Wasn't good. But he's also had more years of experience since then. I don't know. I wonder if he ever considered that.
It is a little damning, honestly, to be an offensive head coach. Things are going sideways, and you don't feel like you have the capability to fix it.
Yeah.
As the play caller. It is damning.
It is.
Right? Even if it's not your favorite thing to do, even if you don't think you're the best at it, if you're not an improvement over what we saw, I don't love that.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and he's been clear about he said, I'll never do that again. He just likes being the CEO coach, but desperate times desperate measures, and he didn't feel like he could improve it. That is scary.
Mm-hmm. Anything? So Jalen talked a little bit about that. The one thing he did say was AJ Brown. He was asked about if he wants Patullo back. Sidestep, said, "Hey, I'm going to let the guys upstairs handle that one." Next question was, "What about AJ? Do you want him back?" He didn't say definitively yes, but he said, "Me and AJ have talked. We're in a great place." Does that give you some hope that they can bring AJ back, and maybe if they get the right coordinator, they'll have a motivated AJ Brown in this building?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, like obviously the cap situation isn't great if you do trade him.
Mhm.
It's so
And it's just not ideal to get rid of a great
he's
player.
a great player, and yeah, I think he was really held back by the OC as well. I don't think he. I think it's probably I'm probably making too big an assumption, but I think it's fair to guess that a lot of his unhappiness this year was related to the play caller. I mean, he didn't get the
He
ball.
basically said as much. I mean, he was the only person honest about the offense this year,
Yeah,
talking about slapping Band-Aids on it. Now, I do think it's a bad look to say all those things and then not perform at a high level and,
right.
and at
That's a
times
separate.
look
Yeah,
uninterested in doing that.
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's after the game he had Sunday. It's hard to sit here and say a play caller is going to make a huge difference, but he's so talented. He's such a great player, and Sunday was an anomaly. It wasn't the AJ we're used to seeing. I mean, he wasn't as good this year as he has been in the past, but I'd still, if you can make it work, I'd rather have him on my team than off my team.
Sure. And
So,
I think that was it was such a quick, it was like, what, 10 seconds from Jalen talking about AJ. But if those two truly have found some common ground, and there was moments this year where it looked like, yeah, maybe they're getting along okay. Yeah, ideally, you don't want to lose that guy if he's going to return to form.
yeah. Yeah, it's not like they have anybody replace him. So, no matter how high you are on Darius Cooper, we're talking about A.J. Brown here.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think if you have any way to, and that should be a part of your decision with the OC, like, I mean, I'd want a guy who, I would think most OC candidates would want A.J. Brown here.
You would think so.
Right? You got this all-pro receiver. I don't know if you bring A.J. into the conversation, but you can get a guy that Jalen and AJ are both happy with. That's certainly a plus.
Mm-hmm. Okay, more time to talk about the OC later on. How about from locker cleanout day on Monday? It's always such a strange day, no matter how far the team goes. If it's a early playoff exit, a Super Bowl, it's always a weird day because it's the last time this team will be together.
Yeah, it is a weird day.
And I mean, it is what it sounds like. If you've seen some videos or pictures, they literally clean out their lockers. They bring in boxes, bags. They're taking their stuff.
Yeah.
Giving out presents to some of their teammates.
Yeah. I had some good conversations with guys. Talked to Cooper for quite a while. He said it doesn't even seem real right now.
That's Cooper DeJean.
Cooper DeJean. He said, I guess it won't seem real till tomorrow when I got nothing to do, which is, these guys, it's hard. You're with these guys. I think it was Jordan Davis said, you're with these guys for 8 months for 12 hours a day. And all of a sudden you're just not. He said, it's really hard to deal with that. And, he's like such a personable guy and just loves the camaraderie. So it's hard. Jordan said he wants to be here. He's not getting involved in the contract stuff, but he said he can't imagine being anywhere else. So we'll see what happens with that.
Yeah, well, he is under contract.
He's under contract for next year with the tender, but obviously I think if you're the Eagles, you'd like to ideally get him signed to a long-term deal. Mm-hmm. And he's underpaid really for next year, so he'd want a long-term deal. He said he wants to take up, learn how to play the bass.
Oh, yeah?
During the off season. Yeah, he said he wants to learn how to play the bass. I asked him who his favorite bass players are, and he mentioned Bootsy Collins, which really impressed me.
Wow.
Because Bootsy, for those of you who don't know, just one of the great funk bass players, played with Parliament Funkadelic and had his own really good solo stuff. So, yeah. So we'll see if he makes some progress on that. Yeah. Talked to Q for a little bit. He talked about the start. He talked about the finish. He said he had a game against San Jose State and I found the game. He gave up a 39-yard double move on the first play of the game and came back and had like 6 pass breakups in that game. So he was kind of comparing Sunday to that. So, you know, it happens. It happens to everybody. And we kind of think of him as Superman, just the way he's played, but he's human. You don't expect a playoff game to start with DeMarcus Robinson taking advantage of the best corner in the league, but it happened. He bounced back with 2 interceptions. He said, I asked him about having 4 in the playoffs, and he said, yeah, you know, I'd like to get me 1 or 2 in the regular season. But he said, at least I get them when they matter. So, but he and Cooper both talked about just how they want to keep getting better, and being an all-pro is great and everything, but it's about getting better every year, and that's important to him.
A.J. Brown left his signed jerseys for Cooper and Quinion, congratulating them on their all-pro seasons.
Yeah.
But that was nice.
And they both said how much A.J. meant to them, how much he made them better players, just having to go up against him in practice, which I believe.
It's another part of the dynamic. Like, A.J. is one of the most well-liked players in that locker room.
He is. He really is. Well-respected.
Cooper had a bunch of boxes of his cereal that he was like trying to get rid of. He was handing them out to people.
Yeah. Yeah. So, how about you? Who's the most compelling?
Jalen Phillips, we obviously wanted to talk to, a free agent. Played well. Played well. He was just solid. It wasn't outstanding production. I thought he was good.
2 sacks, I think.
2 sacks. Ended up 3rd on the team in pressures after only playing half the season here. So, got a lot of pressure. Didn't sack the quarterback a ton.
Played well.
Played well. Just played well. I don't think it was I don't think it's a slam dunk that you have to bring him back.
Right.
But ideally you'd like to. The problem is that's a guy who has a laundry list of injuries in his career. This is his first chance at free agency. He even talked about, I have a family now. He's got a kid on the way. He's not going to take a discount.
No.
He didn't say that, but he's not going to take a discount.
Yeah, and I think he might be out of Howie's price range, honestly. And I'm assuming BG's not going to come back. So you're looking at, maybe he will, but
even if he does,
you're looking at if you don't have Jalen Phillips back, now you have a pretty big need at edge, which we've been saying for a while anyway. So yeah. He mentioned to me that he thinks he really wants to be here. He said he loved it here. He said he felt like the coming here really rejuvenated him, and he just loves being a part of it. Loves the room and his coaches. They got pretty good D-line coaches. So yeah, he would definitely like to be back, but I'm not sure it's in the cards.
I'm not so sure. Talked to both rookies, Jihad Campbell and Andrew Makuba. Campbell didn't really get to play in the playoffs at all. I think he had 1 snap in that game, but he's someone who's probably going to be a starter next year. We'll see what happens with Nakobe Dean, but you use the 1st-round pick on Jihad Campbell. I thought he handled everything this year really well, losing his job, staying ready. I think there's a lot of promise there, and he talked about he was raised to just be ready and not wallow, and I think that's hard to do, and he did it well.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. He's just not as good as Nakobe, and you hope he takes a big step next year. Year 2, guys often do. They'll miss Nakobe. I'm going to assume he's not going to be here. You can't have Zach Bond signed to that contract and a 1st-round pick and then have room at linebacker to sign Nakobe, because his values, I think, is going to be fairly high despite the injuries. You got a playmaking, physical, smart, instinctive leader at linebacker. Teams are going to want that guy. And I just don't think they're going to be able to afford him.
Yeah. And just so you don't think we're glossing over all the free agents, we have some time over the next couple of months. So we are going to have long talks about all their pending free agents and who we think are the most likely to be back and all that stuff. So don't think we're just glossing over that now.
And we both talked to Drew Makuba.
Yeah. There was no chance he was coming back in these playoffs. I know that the Eagles kind of left some hope out there for some reason, but he said there was no chance.
He did say he'll be 100%. He had that boot on. He said the boot's coming off for the next 2 or 3 weeks. He said he'll be 100% by OTAs. I asked him about like how he made use of this time where he wasn't playing, and he said he tried to take, and this is what guys say who are hurt, he tried to take every mental rep. He watched every game and every practice, and what would I do in that situation, and what can I learn from it? And he said he thinks he became a better player while he was out. I thought he became a better player, I guess maybe his last few games before he got hurt, just more under control.
He had found some stability in his game.
Yeah, I thought so. I think he has a chance to be a decent player.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah,
I really think he does. Now, the safety position is one they're going to have to figure out because Reed Blankenship is going to be a free agent. Marcus Epps is going to be a free agent. So
I think Epps has a better chance of being here than Reed, and we'll have time to talk about
interesting.
That. Just because I think the fact that Reed never got done tells you that either they don't value him, or his own idea of his value is higher than theirs. Because generally that's a guy that how he can get done pretty seamlessly. But I don't think Epps is going to be looking for elite money. I thought he played pretty well. Solid. Yeah. So I'm not sure you can go in with Epps and Makuba, but it's possible.
Anyone else from Locker Cleanout Day that you talked to?
Talked to Darius Cooper a little bit. He said he's counting down the days till training camp. Said his confidence really grew as the year went on. He wasn't playing a ton, but he did get to play. Caught a pass in the playoff game, 9-yard pass in the second quarter, I think. And I think, depending what happens with AJ, he's got a chance to, because I don't think Dotson's going to be here. He's got a chance to be a factor next year. I think he's a good player and he's got some upside. So he said he's going to be in the facility every day. He's going to stay in the area. He lives in Philly. And
if you'd like to join the Darius Cooper fan club, we meet on Wednesdays.
Oh, yeah?
It's the day after the Kenny G one.
Okay. Keep that in mind. Yeah. Yeah, I am a fan.
Okay. See you on Wednesday then.
He's got size. He's physical. He's a good blocker. Seems to catch the ball well. So I had a good chat with him. Talked to Braden Mann a little bit.
Pending free agent?
He's not, apparently. He said he's got another year.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that's been misreported somewhere. But I asked him about that. He said he has another year.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Good news.
Yeah. Best punter in Eagles history.
Yeah.
I asked him how bummed he was that he fell six punting yards short of 50, an average of 50.0, which has never been done in Eagles history.
Did he know that?
He did not know that. He knew he finished at 49.9. He didn't know how many yards short he was. Leave it to me. He said, that's why I never check my stats during the season, because I would be like trying to get those 6 yards, instead of just doing my job. But he's very good, and they'll have him for another year, which is big.
That's good news.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a break. On the other side, I can't.
This is going to be fun.
The number of emails we got. I woke up this morning to sort through them for this podcast. Take a guess how many emails there were.
Thousands and thousands.
Less than that.
Billions. Billions and billions.
We were in triple digits. There were a lot of emails.
I was going to guess 124.
So we're going to try to get to some of them on the other side.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we've got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store and NissanUSA.com today.
Back on the Eagle Eye podcast, brought to you by Nissan, Reuben Frank, and Dave Zangaro. Rube, it's time for the mailbag. Eagle-eyed NBC Uni.
We're going to answer every one of them.
.com. We are not. QR code on the screen. Thank you for all the emails. Like I mentioned, we got so many of them. If you don't hear yours read, we apologize. There were a lot. So we'll do our best. This one is from Luke. 6 minutes left in the third quarter. I'm calling it now. We win. Love the pod. Go Birds. After the game, from Luke. All caps, fire Kevin. So Luke had a bad day. That's the, sometimes you gamble with those
in-game
premature emails.
Yeah.
Okay. From Rachel. Is it ridiculous to say I knew we would lose when we were leading at the half? Don't know what else to say, but thanks for all you've done this season. It wouldn't have been nearly as enjoyable without you two.
Thank you.
That's very nice.
I I never really felt confident that they were going to win the game, even when they had the lead. Just it wasn't going well. And
I did when they started getting turnovers.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to capitalize on them better, and they didn't.
Yeah. Got 3 points off the 2 interceptions. That was it.
Mm-hmm. Not great.
Yeah.
From Bo. Hey, Reuben, Dave, I don't get what everyone is so upset about. Clearly, this Eagles team has an established pattern. Wild card round loss, Super Bowl appearance, repeat. Following this trend, my question for you then is, will the 2026 Eagles win or lose Super Bowl 61, since making it is all but guaranteed? Thanks for all the great covers this year.
The wild card loss in Tampa, Super Bowl loss, wild card loss in Tampa, Super Bowl win, wild card loss at the link. So, yeah, the pattern, I think the Super Bowl part's going to be a lot harder to achieve than the wild card loss part. Where's the Super Bowl next year? Do we know?
I think we know collectively as a NFL. I don't think I know.
Okay.
I can look it up for you.
I would have enjoyed being in Northern California for a week. I wouldn't have minded that.
Oh, it's Southern California. It's at SoFi.
Oh, okay. I mean,
what do you make of it? It is strange though, and Jalen Hurts talked about breaking that cycle. He even brought up that, like, yeah, it's wild card loss, Super Bowl, wild card loss, Super Bowl, wild card loss. It's funny that he talked about breaking that. You don't want to break it now.
Right. Exactly.
You want the next year to continue that trend.
Yeah.
But what do you make of like the fluctuation under Nick Sirianni?
Yeah, they've never won a playoff game when they haven't gone to the Super Bowl. I think that was the same with the Giants when they had I think the only playoff games Eli Manning ever won were in the 2 Super Bowl runs, I believe. I think it's really hard to get back. And we've seen that. We've seen that over the years. It's just hard to get back. The teams that have gotten back, the Patriots, Chiefs lately, Broncos, it's really hard. And I think
in those Super Bowl years, there were the 1 seed and then the 2 seed.
Yeah. They've never had to win.
The kind of crazy thing is the year they won the Super Bowl, they were not as dominant, at least to the eye, as they were in the year they lost the Super Bowl.
You mean they won when they won last year?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true.
I'm just talking about the Nick time frame. That 22 team I thought was more dominant.
Yeah, probably were. It's funny that they've been to 5 Super Bowls, right? 80, 04, and then these 3 recent ones. And they've never had to win a road game to get there. All their playoff wins in those 5 years were at home, which is interesting. Yeah, it's hard to do. It's hard. I think it's physically hard because that's one thing Cooper said. It's like, at least we're going to have a full off season this year to recover. And because, it starts up again quickly with OTAs and then training camp. It's not a lot of time, because
and since the league expanded, like it's deeper into February now.
Yeah. So, and then you're on the banquet circuit. And
I mean, how long do you think it took Quinyon and Nolan just to get over that hangover from the Super Bowl parade?
Yeah.
2 weeks?
Yeah. Yeah. Nolan, it was maybe a month. Yeah. So I do. I think it's just physically and mentally so demanding. It takes so much out of you. You just don't see teams doing it. I think there's a reason for it. And it just makes you appreciate a team like the Steelers that won 4 in 6 years, or the Cowboys won 3 in 5 years.
Even the Chiefs recently to win 2 and then get back to a third.
Yeah.
Even have a chance for a three-peat is wild.
It is. Yeah. 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 So I think that's, if they can get to one next year, then there's something to it, this pattern. But right now, they got to find a play caller before we can talk about that.
Would you take that? Like, beginning of Nick Sirianni era, the deal is that he's here for, 6 years. Every other year they go to a Super Bowl?
I think you'd sign up for that.
Huh.
Yeah.
But now you're living it and you're going, well.
Fire him.
Yeah. Next one is from Melissa. 2 questions. Number 1, we could see on TV that the winds were really strong during the wild card game. How did that affect Lincoln's flight? Dave said in the Positivity Corner that Lincoln had a great flight. Did the wind bring out the best in Lincoln? I think it did. I think Lincoln used the wind to his advantage, kind of like Tom Brady talking about the throwing a football in the wind. I think Lincoln, veteran Eagle, knew how to play the wind right.
Can Lincoln call plays?
We got one video and a photo from some listeners of Lincoln's flight.
It's great. I'd love to see them.
I'll forward them to you. Number 2. When will Howie start signing players to extensions now that the team is done playing? Guys like Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, etc. Does he have to wait for the free agency period, or will we start to see extensions soon?
No, you don't have to wait. Players on your own, under contract that you have.
So for some of the guys like Jalen Carter, he became eligible for an extension after the regular season ended.
Right. So
you have to
technically,
play 3 regular seasons.
Yeah. So technically, he's eligible. He was eligible last week before the game. I would think that would be forthcoming. I think it's a trickier contract than it looked.
Sure.
Because you've got to kind of project, is he going to be a guy that's hurt a lot? Is he going to be a guy you can count on for 16, 17 games a year? And is he going to be a guy you can count on to be in I mean, if you're going to pay a guy $35 million a year, you better know that he's going to be in shape like for the first month of the season and that you have a chance to keep him healthy.
Yeah, to me that's like the thing I think back on. Like spitting on Dak's not great. Like obviously that's not great, but the bigger concern was that he wasn't in the best shape that he needed to be in a year where there was so much at stake for him.
Yeah.
That to me is concerning. The injuries are one thing. Like guys get hurt. I actually give him credit for playing through the injuries like he did. But yeah, the conditioning part of it, don't love that.
Yeah. But I do think it'll get done.
What do you think about Nolan? He was another guy we talked about. Like we mentioned, we have a lot of time for this, but it just came to our mind. Before the season, we're like, they got to figure out Jalen Carter. Then the way Nolan Smith finished last year, you're thinking, man, they're going to have to figure out a big contract for him too. I don't know what you do with him now.
Yeah. I thought he underachieved this year. Now, he missed time. I don't think he was healthy before he missed those 5 games. Then he had 3 sacks after that. I had big expectations for him this year. Obviously, injury was an issue. He missed a third of the season, but certainly his value, I mean, he had more sacks in the postseason last year than the regular season this year. So certainly his value is not what we probably projected it at the end of last year.
Yeah. For him, do you think it makes more sense to wait?
Without knowing what the offer is going to look like, if there is one, I would think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bet on yourself.
And it might be like one of those things where we're like, hey, we're not going to make an offer. We don't want to insult you. Let's see how this season plays out.
Could be.
Next one from Darren. Rube said they wouldn't win because they can't score over 20 points, and he was right. 24 points wins this game, and we couldn't muster it. Missed extra point also prevented us from tying with a field goal. The question is, how is that the best gotta have it need 10 yards play? We can't get someone schemed open?
11 yards. But who's counting? It's funny that we're saying that Jake missing the extra point left us just, if he made it, they would have been a field goal away, but he had to make that field goal too. So
True.
The guy that missed the PAT, but yeah, that's just unbelievable to me that that's the best play they had in that situation.
It's shocking. And it's like you look across the league and there's so much creativity.
Yeah.
There are so many good schemers. There's so many good play callers. And to be left with that is like, ugh.
I'd almost rather call a draw play to Bigsby in that situation. He'll get you the 11
Tank
yards.
the ball.
Give Tank the ball, you get 11 yards.
Yeah. Like uninspired play calling, uninspired designs. Yeah, they need an infusion for sure.
And yeah, and it really, when you watch playoff games, which, we didn't have a chance to watch the games on Sunday, but I watched all the other ones, and you see what a real offense looks like. And you realize just how deficient they are in that area.
Speaking of watching playoff games, holy heck, that Texans defense.
Oh, my goodness.
They're unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. Matt Burke.
Yeah, Matt Burke and D'Amico Ryans, 2 guys who are both here.
Yeah.
All right, next one is from Kareem.
I'm so happy, by the way, for D'Amico's one of my favorite guys.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
Just a great guy.
I covered D'Amico for like 2 months in 2012 before I took a different job. And every time I see him, he still gives me a big hug and we talk for a while. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
Kareem. Been a fan since the first episode dropped. First off, thanks for the podcast.
Wow.
It's by far the best Eagles podcast.
Thank you.
The good news is we don't have to watch this pathetic offense anymore. I've been back and forth on Jalen all year, and as much as I appreciate the things he's done for us, I do not believe that the struggles this season were all on the coaching staff, although they are a huge percentage of the problem. I think we need to move on from the OC and Jalen. I know it's probably something you guys might not agree with, but I just don't think he is that guy. I understand he has the numbers and history to back him up. When I look at the league, the top quarterbacks are doing more with less than he has. I understand that he won a Super Bowl and has been to more than one, but are you telling me Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, etc. would not have done the same thing on these Eagles teams? I could be overreacting because of the horrible season, but I feel like Jalen is just not as good as he's made it to be sometimes. My question is, do you think it's possible that the front office even considers looking to move on from him this offseason? And if not this offseason, would they consider it next year if another season like this follows in 2026?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. I don't think they're ready to move on from him now, but I do think he had kind of a middling year, and I think a big part of it is his refusal to run. I think that's what makes him an elite quarterback is not just the running, but the threat of running.
I just want to interject that we don't know necessarily what the source of him not running was this year.
Yeah, that's fair. Either the coaches didn't want him to, or he didn't want it. And every time he was asked about it, he said, "I'm just doing what I'm told to do. I'm running the plays I'm told."
Which,
to
if
run.
we take him at face value, that's more damning toward the coaches.
Yeah, but there's also, I mean, in the past we've seen him take off on, when a play breaks down and get big yards. He had 14 rushing yards in that game. I mean, he's been, and I think when you look at his postseason success, so much of it has been games where he ran a lot. And I just think he's a good passer. We've seen him have some really good games and make some huge throws down the field. But what makes him elite is the dual threat. And without that, I just think I don't say just another quarterback, but he's not an elite quarterback if he's not running. And like we've seen the damage that other quarterbacks did running against this team, whether it was, Mahomes in the first half of that game, Herbert, Josh Johnson ran for like 50 yards for crying out loud. I think Jordan Love made some plays with his legs in that game. So we've seen for so long him making plays with his legs, and not just the yards, but moving around behind, in the pocket and just kind of finding guys and using his legs to extend plays. He's just so good at it. And if it's his decision, I don't get it. If it's the coach's decision, then it's awful. Whoever is behind it, and it's probably a combination of both. Maybe he just doesn't want to be known as a running quarterback. I just don't know. But I think for him to have 5 for 14 in that game is inexcusable because things weren't going well. Obviously, the offense was struggling, and you have this weapon, you have this dimension of his game that you're just not using. It doesn't make sense.
They were actually able to get the run game going without it, which I'm surprised by, based on what we saw this year.
Yeah. I thought Saquon ran really hard, had some good runs. But if you just have Jalen standing in the pocket and throwing 35 times, this offense just isn't going to look the same as if he's doing everything he can possibly do in every way to move the ball.
Yeah. I want to get away from the running aspect of it and just are there deficiencies in Jalen Hurts' game? Yes, obviously. I think you can say the same with a lot of quarterbacks. Is he an elite quarterback? I don't want to touch that word anymore. I don't care. It's incumbent upon the coaching staff to design an offense tailored around the strengths of your players. Principle in that is the quarterback. I don't think they did that. It's like, what is Jalen good at? You mentioned one element, the dual threat. Also, some of the deep shots that evaporated from this offense at times. And I think it's also incumbent on Jalen to then improve the areas where he's deficient. And I think the best way to get him to do that is to have an offensive coordinator or head coach that he trusts to help him grow in those areas. And I don't think they had that this year.
Yeah, they clearly didn't.
And that's not to absolve him. Like, he didn't play well enough. Halfway through the season, we're talking about, man, if this guy has a good second half, he can be in the MVP race. And that just, evaporated so quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're not moving on from him this year. After this year, there's a lot of different ways they can go with a lot of different players and coaches. There's a high level of expectation with this team. And if the team doesn't live up to it, then bigger changes come down the road.
I think that's accurate. If, they won a Super Bowl last year, but if they underachieve again next year, I think all bets are off.
Next one is from Greg.
Hey, Greg.
Season's over. No need to rehash that mess, so let's play a game. Howie decides to quit and become a Fish groupie. Jeffrey decides to make Rube GM. What's the first thing you do as new general manager?
Probably go to a couple of Fish shows with Howie.
Try to learn from him?
What's the first thing I would do if I was GM?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are we assuming Patullo still has a job, or?
Let's not do that because that's pretty obvious.
Too easy. I'd probably try to make sure Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter are going to be here for the long term.
Both.
I don't know if that's possible, but if Howie left me his cap guide, how to cheat at the salary cap, then that would be a priority.
Well, we'll hope Bryce stays. You have Bryce and.
Yeah. Also, I would try to keep Dallas Goedert. I can't imagine this offense without him, and they don't have any. It's not like we talk about a lot of the free agents. Like when you lose Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, you have other guys in those positions you believe in. I mean, they don't have a tight end, and they haven't in a long time. Other than this guy, he's so good. He's got the 7th most catches in NFL history by a tight end in the playoffs.
Wow. And
he's only like 8 catches behind third. 8 more catches, and he'd be behind only Gronk and Kelsey.
He had a good year. I do think it's fair to say that he is no longer the blocker he once was, and I think that they were slow to change his role based on that. If that makes sense.
Yeah. But he's such a great receiver. What do you have? 13 touchdowns, including the postseason. First Eagle since Ricky Waters in '95 with a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown in a playoff game. Ricky did it in that Lions game in '95 at the Vet. So he's just so valuable. And he
had a good season. Not that he didn't, but he did benefit from the one area of the field where the Eagles had some creativity.
Red zone. Yeah, but even beyond that, I just think he's a valuable part of it. I think Jalen trusts him. You can see that in the red zone. And, in big third downs, he's looking for 88.
Do one more?
Yeah.
Let's finish it here with John. Hey, guys, love the pod. We see all these head coaches who have been fired getting interviewed for other head coaching jobs. It got me thinking, if Nick got fired today, would anyone actually call him?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure.
I mean, I think Lurie would call him. Hey, good luck. No, I think he's.
I don't know if the league views him like that. I don't know if that's like as damning as it sounds. If you're the right coach for the right situation, that's all that matters. But I don't know if he gets calls.
I think he would. I think he's seen as a culture builder, and a guy who knows how to get a team to play hard and be committed and buy in and win a lot of games. And would it help if he was an offensive guru? I mean, that's why Kevin Stefanski's. I mean, he hasn't done 10% of what Nick's done as a head coach, but he's offensive mind. So, but I think he would.
Okay. Do you think he'd be? I don't think. Maybe he would. I certainly don't think it would be in demand. He wouldn't be as in demand as like a Harbaugh or a Stefanski or even maybe a McDaniel.
Well, I mean, Harbaugh, wasn't calling plays.
I know.
Like, why would he be more in demand than Nick? Nick's been in more Super Bowls.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just telling you the way I think the league views him.
Yeah, I think he'd get calls. I think he'd get a job.
Head coaching job.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. We disagree there. That's fine. Let's wrap it up there. Eagle-eyed NBCUni.com. QR code is on the screen. If you enjoy the Eagle Eye Podcast, please do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, click the like button, subscribe there as well. I'll do this disclaimer again. Again, if you're going to leave a review, it's a review for us, not for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles. Rube, any final thoughts?
No, it's just weird not having a game this weekend to prepare for. I was just thinking, like, Thursday's pod, we're not going to be able to do matchups because
it is so abrupt whenever a
is.
season ends, because you're in your mind, you're like, I got to get, like, I'm getting ready, flying to Chicago. We got to get ready to think about the Bears. And then all of a sudden it's just over and you're in the off season.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
But we'll be with you the whole off season. Reuben Frank, Dave Zangaro. This has been Eagle Eye presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.